This video is the product of the Functional Cranial Release Research Institute. For difficult neurologic conditions that no one seems to have answers for, visit functionalcranialrelease.com.
So over the last 45 years, what I've worked toward doing is finding every tool I could find to help people to open those blocks so that that system can open and then embody what's designed for it. You know, with the, this is the second round of FCR that I've done. Did it about 10 years. You work with it. It was a totally different experience, and I can feel like today's session, I could feel exactly where the energy was moving my cranium, how the shifts were taking place, and down into the occiput was a really nice opening. And what I've noticed since we did it, it's been about 3 weeks since we did the first round. And in the last 3 weeks, of course, I've been doing my work and teaching for the last 45 years in the realm of waking up, you know, just human waking up and living as a human being. And what I've found is that there's a new level of my own direct experience of that. You know, one of the things we say in our workshops is, you know, if you ever held a newborn child, what's the essence of the newborn? And of course, everybody's descriptor of the newborn is love. So the idea of the work is to experience that in your physiology. And I've found that that since that first round, I've got another level of that.
So with regards to still point and FCR and breath, how do you see a correlation there?
Oh, I see a perfect correlation. When we do, in our intensives, we're part of the still point breathing process is an energy field process that I've developed over the years of a synthesis of several different things that I've done that found open people to be able to breathe and let loose of what doesn't belong in them. And so I see the FCR doing the identical thing from the inside as to what the breath does and the energy field work does from the outside. So it just enhances the whole process. That's why when you spoke with me about it, I was interested in doing it, because I know that one of the things I focus on working with people in their breathing is getting this whole structure. I see the bony structure of the body, the so-called body, as literally an antenna, and the antenna is designed to be in a proper shape. You know, in the world of electronics, shape determines frequencies received. You know, the reason why a particular bug is attracted to a particular plant that's decaying and eats the decaying plant is because that plant puts out a frequency. The bug has an antenna, and it's only that shape antenna that's attracted to that particular frequency. That's why they can identify, for instance, a potato bug, because that bug has an antenna. Well, we have at the core of our structure an antenna, and when you look at, of course, the cranial structure is continuously in a state of motion, and when it's physically or emotionally traumatized, the antenna is out of alignment. Now you don't get frequencies that you need, and the frequencies are what feed the organ. So when people breathe, it helps to realign that. When I teach energy field work in my intensives, it's physically helping from the outside, helping to align it, hands-on work, and going to the core of the antenna with the balloon, to me, is like a whole other level of getting right to the core of the antenna and opening it up. So that's what brings me to interest in it. So it just enhances everything I'm doing. Again, you got to restore the shape of the structure in order for it to attune to what it's designed to attune to. It's not designed for rage and fear and grief, which is what most people are attuned to, most people resonate with, literally, you know. We have a saying in our culture, birds of a feather flock. What does that mean? People who are matching frequencies tend to gather together. So somebody who's got a lot of rage and fear, literally on an energetic level, sends up a measurable energy wave that pulls in somebody else with an antenna for rage and fear and knows how to play that game. And so, you know, we can play out of, look what they, you know, everywhere I look at how they are, never realizing that it's me that's at the core of it. And, you know, one of my tongue-in-cheek lines in the workshop you've heard me deliver several times is the one that says, you know, you'll notice if you've been through it 87 different times with 42 different people, you're the only one that was there every time. It's about you, it's not about them. So to me, it's about learning to be responsible for what we resonate into our space, what we draw, then going inside ourselves, removing what doesn't belong. But if there's a block in the antenna and the energy can't move, then it's locked in, an opening of a new space and a new level of awareness.
What does that next level or that opening feel like to you?
The presence of love in my body, and an intellectual comprehension. I've been working on refining my understanding of the Aramaic forgiveness process and being able to present it to people. And there is a new level of intellectual comprehension and the ability to present it in a way that people get it. There's just a new smoothness and a new way that people are relating to the work that clearly is directly related.
What exactly is Aramaic?
The Aramaic language is the root language, interestingly enough, of at least 6 of the world's major religions. Not because it's a religious language, it's actually a physics language, it's a physiological language, it's a genetic language. It perfectly describes how energy systems work. And so I think that 6 of the world's major religions grew out of it because they understood how it worked. Man took it and turned it into, we need this dogma, we need this belief, I want to control you with this, and turned what was based in, how do you get to a human experience? How do you live as the active presence of love into a fear-based dogma that keeps people, under the thumb and under control? So it's the root language of those 6 major religions, and it perfectly describes how we as humans operate. How you do the work that brings you to the experience that the original religions. Well, the Aramaic language is the root language of those written scriptures out of those 6 major religions. So it's been done by a variety of people. Basically, how do you live as a human being? And what blocks you from it? And if it blocks you, how do you remove what blocks you? In the ancient Aramaic language, the word forgive does not mean you did something really terrible that caused all this pain inside of me. It's a tool with which I go inside and remove my pain. 2,000 years, nobody's told us that forgiveness in Aramaic is about how to remove content from your mind that's causing you pain. The Greek culture, the Greek translations, the Greek interpretation, which is what governs the West, told us somebody else did it to you, it's all their fault, but be nice about it and forgive them. It's got nothing to do with forgiveness. Nothing whatsoever. So we focus on the tools of how to live as a human being and how to remove all hostility and fear, because hostility and fear does not belong in this human form. If you again hold the newborn, you have the active presence of love. Everybody describes the newborn as the same. Where you don't have that active presence of love, you don't have human life, because that's human state of hostility and fear. And live, no matter what anybody else is doing, live as a human being. So forgiveness is the way you chip away at the multi-generational database, which literally is what your body is, that holds everything from all of the generations. How do you remove it? Still point is a way, if you notice whenever somebody's in their non-human state, they're in hostility or fear, the first thing they do is they hold the breath. I don't want to deal with this, I don't want to feel this. And so the lockdown of the breath becomes a way to lock a pattern into physiology that doesn't belong there. Using the breath properly, which is what I call still point, is a way to re-establish a connection with the breath. If you go back to the ancient Aramaic, where the Greeks translated the words to say God sent out his spirit, in Aramaic it's not what it says, it says God sent out his breath. When we're directly connected, we're alive, we're living as humans. When we disconnect, we can play out the non-human stuff, the hostility, the fear, the rage, the grief, the pain. And if you look around the planet and what's running the planet, human life is almost gone. And so our work is about reestablishing human life in each physiological device on the planet. So 7.5 billion. Imagine how our world would be if 7.5 billion people were functioning out of their newborn state. Instead of, we got guns and bullets and war and hate and rage and fear and rape and murder and all that stuff. So our work's about eradicating that stuff and returning us to our human. The FCR, I'm just finding, in terms of my own process, I'm always in process, I'm always working on me, that I've reached a new clarity, a new way to understand it, a new way to express it.
How would one, if they're interested in exploring more of this, find you?
Oh, well, that's easy. There's all kinds of free material. We've got a YouTube channel, which there's a link on our website. You can go to our website, www.why again, and you can download the worksheet process. We have a 5-day-a-week radio show, 1 till 2 o'clock Eastern Time. People can call into the radio show on the phone. Our phone number is 800-200-4169, have a personal conversation with my wife and I and several other people who are working with the tools. It's really developing into a global community. It's available on the internet. People can listen on the internet if they don't have unlimited phone service, and so the tools are there, and what we continuously do is put the tools out, and of course we're all over the country and all over the globe and accept invitations anywhere we're invited to speak, and our workshops are free and we pay our own expenses, so it's pretty easy to put together.
What do your workshops focus on? Hi, this is Dr. John. Thanks for joining me. If you or a loved one suffers from difficult neurologic conditions that no one seems to have answers for, send them to functionalcranialrelease.com. You can contact me by phone or email me at askdrjl@gmail.com. And remember, if healing is possible, consider it to be within your reach. Bye for now.
functionalcranialrelease.com